German Shepherd freezes with two pups. The man's decision to open the door will shock you. The blizzard outside was relentless. Inside, Ethan Brooks, a retired paramedic, sat wrapped in a thick blanket. He took a sip from his mug of coffee inside. He was used to being alone. Something about this particular storm felt heavier. Then there was a noise, faint at first, a soft scraping sound like claws against wood. Ethan froze. He set down his mug and listened closely. There was again, scratching, followed by a low whimper. He rose slowly, heart beginning to pound. The sound was coming from the front door. He approached it cautiously, and as he reached the frosted glass, his breath caught in his throat. There, shivering and half buried in snow, stood a German Shepherd. Her body shook violently, her fur matted with ice, and pressed tightly against her were two tiny puppies, barely visible under her trembling frame. Her eyes met his wide, desperate, and pleading. Ethan's hand hovered over the doorknob. He hesitated. Letting a stray animal in during a blizzard could mean bringing danger into his home. But as her eyes locked with his, something deep inside him stirred. She wasn't just begging for shelter. She was fighting for the lives of her children. He opened the door. The dog didn't move. She stayed frozen in place, I'm sure. Ethan crouched and extended his hand gently. "Come on, girl," he murmured. "You'll die out there." She let out a soft, uncertain whimper. Then, nudging one puppy forward, she took a cautious step into the cabin. The smaller pup stumbled, too weak to walk. Without hesitation, the mother gently picked it up by the scruff of its neck and carried it inside, the second following behind. Once they were all in, Ethan shut the door, sealing out the storm. The temperature shift made the dog shiver even more. He grabbed an old quilt from the couch and draped it over them. The mother flinched at first, but realizing he meant no harm, she settled down near the fireplace, curling around her babies. Ethan knelt beside them. The pups were tiny, so small he could see their little chests rising and falling with difficulty. He reached out to touch one, but the mother gave a low warning growl. Not threatening, just protective. "All right," he whispered, raising his hands in peace. "You're doing a good job, Mama. You've been through hell." He moved to the kitchen and filled a bowl with warm water, setting it down near her. She eyed him cautiously, then began to drink. Her pups stirred and nestled closer. Where had she come from? How had she ended up out there alone in a snowstorm with newborn pups? Her ribs were showing. She was exhausted, but she had made it this far, carrying life through the storm. Ethan knew he wasn't ready for this. He hadn't had a dog since his wife passed. His life had become quiet, too quiet. But now, looking at this little family clinging to survival, he knew one thing: he couldn't turn them away. "You're a fighter," he said softly, "just like me." Ethan sat in his recliner, watching the fire. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring, but he had made a silent promise to them. They were safe now. Morning came softly. Ethan stirred immediately, glancing toward the fireplace. The dog was still curled around her pups. One of them shifted and squeaked, a tiny yawn escaping its mouth. "Good morning, girl," Ethan said quietly. He stretched and went to the kitchen, warming up some leftover chicken soup. It wasn't ideal, but it would do. She sniffed the air cautiously as he placed the bowl near her. After a few moments, she began to eat. Ethan watched from a distance. "You carried them through that storm," he said softly. "You deserve a medal." Later that morning, he assessed her condition. The mother was severely underweight, and the pups, though fragile, were trying to nurse. Their tiny tails wiggled, giving Ethan a flicker of hope. He picked up the phone and called the nearest vet. "Hi, this is Ethan Brooks. I've got a shepherd and two pups here. They need help." "Bad." The receptionist assured him they could squeeze him in that afternoon. Getting them there wasn't easy. He found an old blanket and slowly approached. The mother growled again when he got too close to the pups. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm just trying to help." Eventually, she allowed him to lift them into the back of his truck. He made sure they were secure and warm, then began the slow, careful drive into town. The vet, Dr. Lacey Harmon, examined the dogs with quiet concern. "She's malnourished, but she's strong," she said. "Those pups wouldn't have made it without her. It's going to take time, but she'll pull through." Ethan shook his head. "She just showed up at my door." "If I hadn't opened it," Dr. Harmon smiled. She picked the right door. Back home, the mother dog seemed more at ease. The pups, now fed and treated, wriggled sleepily beside her. For the first time, she let Ethan stroke her head. "You're safe now," he said quietly. "You're home." In the days that followed, a new rhythm formed. Ethan named the mother dog Mira and the pups Cole and Blizzard. Mira began to regain her strength. Ethan found himself smiling again. One evening, as snow flurries danced outside, He sat on the floor with Mira resting beside him. Cole and Blizzard tumbled playfully over each other. Mira looked at Ethan, and for the first time, leaned into his touch. "You're something else. You know that," he said softly. "You brought life back into this place." One morning, he took them outside. The snow had finally begun to melt, revealing patches of frozen earth. Mira stepped out cautiously, sniffing the air. Her pups followed behind, wobbling with excitement. But suddenly Mira froze, her body tensed, ears erect, eyes locked on the tree line. "What is it?" Ethan asked, following her gaze. He saw nothing, but Mira growled, a deep warning sound. Ethan gathered the pups and led her back inside, locking the door behind them. That night, Mira stayed alert, pacing by the window. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, had been out there. Ethan sat by the window, stroking Mira's fur as the pups slept nearby. Then he saw it, a figure standing at the edge of the woods. "Mira," he whispered. She looked up, then growled, a deep primal sound. Ethan called the sheriff's office. "There's someone watching my cabin," he said. Deputy Sandra Hayes arrived within the hour. She combed the woods with her flashlight, then returned. "Whoever it was is gone," she said, "but there are tracks and a rope tied to a tree, old but recently used." Ethan's stomach twisted. Someone had been camping out there, watching them. The next morning, as Ethan poured coffee, Mira suddenly lunged to the door, growling again. He looked out and froze. The figure had returned, closer this time. Ethan grabbed his rifle and stepped outside. "This is private property," he shouted. The man stepped forward. He was in his 40s, wearing a tattered coat. A rope hung in one hand. "That's my dog," the man said, voice calm but cold. She got out. Ethan's blood ran cold. "She showed up near death with pups. If she's yours, why was she like that?" The man shrugged. "She ran off. I'm here to take her back." "You're not taking anything," Ethan said, raising his rifle. "She's not yours anymore." Mira appeared in the doorway, snarling. The man's face flickered with fear. "She's dangerous," he said. "You don't know what she's capable of." "I know she's capable of love and loyalty," Ethan snapped. "Now get off my land." The man backed away, disappearing into the woods. That night, Ethan sat beside Mira, one hand resting gently on her back. "He's gone," he whispered. "You protected them. Protected all of us." For the first time, Mira relaxed completely, curling around her pups with a sigh. Ethan watched the fire flicker. She had found him in her darkest hour, and he had found something too: family, purpose, and hope. Together, they had faced fear and fought back.